We're going to be doing a composite image. So that means combining multiple images into one document. Okay. So this is still going to be a 4x6 document, and I have these 3 images downloaded from Schoology. Okay, or they will be uploaded to Schoology for you to download to follow along. All right. So we're going to be using selection tools. We're going to be using adjustments to really isolate these and then bring them in cleanly into a blank document. So what we're going to do first is you can either go File, New, or hit this little home button in the left corner and go New File. And here are your settings, okay? So you can either go to Print, and you could choose, no, actually the default's not in there because we need 4x6. So you could go to Photo, you could do 6x4 landscape, and you could do, you could just swap the orientation back and forth depending on whether you want it portrait or landscape. That's up to you, okay? Honestly though, so I don't know why it's in RGB mode. We need to change that to CMYK because guess what? Printers print in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and hit create. All right, so I'm gonna be doing my composite image in a portrait style composition, okay? So the first thing you wanna do, so right now my foreground and background colors are different. I can just hit D on my keyboard and it'll go back to black and white. And what I can do is I can either hit this double arrow to swap, or I can hit X to swap black to back, and then hit Command Delete on your keyboard, or Command Backspace, depending on whether you use PC or not, and it will fill your background with black. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fill this background with black. Okay? All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our different tabs and we're gonna start cutting these out, okay? I'm gonna try and do these as quick as possible just to keep this video somewhat short, okay? So if you need to slow this down, slow the video down. You can do that in the options, right? Or you can pause and you can digest the information and then do, like pause, do the step, pause, do the step, etc. Okay? So what I'm gonna do here, I've already done this once prior. I'm gonna go over to my selection tools. Remember, you have magic wand, quick selection, object selection. For this one, I did object selection. Okay, so I'm just gonna click and drag from the upper left corner to the lower right, and it's going to select this for me, okay? Obviously there's a little bit, it also selects the black in here as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my magic wand. Remember, you have to change the tolerance occasionally. I'm gonna take my magic wand and I'm gonna hit Alt on my keyboard, and that gives a little minus sign. So I'm gonna minus that, okay? Now I've got a pretty decent selection. But if I wanted to refine this and make it a little bit better, I'm gonna go to Select and Mask. Select and Mask. So you see right here, I have a red background, and then it actually shows my selection right here. Okay, to change that view, if you don't have that, you do it over here. So over on the right, you have your little view mode. You change your options here. I'm fine with overlay. I think overlay works pretty well. It shows me exactly what's happening, okay? So over on the right, we have all these other options. So I'm gonna bring smooth up. I'm gonna bring the feather up a little bit. I don't want there to be like a super hard edge. So notice the difference. So here's this super hard edge that's gonna be super weird to change adjustments to. It's gonna look bad, okay? So we're gonna feather it. That was a little bit too much, so I'm gonna bring it back down a little bit. Maybe that's starting to look good. So 25.1 for me. It may be different for you, okay? And then I'm also gonna shift edge. So you can either go, right now it's at 0%, you can either shift edge up or shift edge back. Okay, I'm gonna shift my edge a little bit back. I'm gonna go -5. And then I'm also gonna go over here and you have your options bar, right? So this is your quick selection. You can come in here and refine your selection. So I can go minus, or I can hold option, either way. So minus, or I can hold option. And I'm gonna come in here and kind of clean up the in-betweens. So I'm gonna hit my left bracket on my keyboard, just lower my size of my brush. So right bracket increases, left bracket lowers, option key. I'm gonna start deleting some of this selection here. Some of the black background that I don't want in here. I'm gonna delete, that's fine. I'm not I'm not gonna miss that, I don't think. Just to make sure that I'm getting the cleanest selection that I can, okay? All right, so that's looking pretty decent. So down here in the lower right corner, you have your output settings, okay? Output settings right here. So you can output to the selection, which we've already done, or you could do new layer, okay? You could do either of these, you could play around with it, but honestly, it's either selection or new layer is probably your best. New layer will have you skip a step, pretty much. So we're gonna go new layer, press OK. It already automatically turned off my back layer, which is perfect, okay? So now I'm gonna take my move tool over here in the upper right, or upper left corner, move tool, and we're gonna move this thing. So you see I have these little bounding boxes right here. It allows me to transform everything, okay? If you don't see that, that means up here at the options bar, you don't have these show transform controls checked off. So go ahead and check that off, and we're gonna move this in. So I'm gonna drag it up. I'm clicking and holding and dragging it up to the tab, and I'm gonna drop it, okay? Now I can resize it when it's in here. You don't have to hold shift for Photoshop. I'm just gonna resize it. And then I'm gonna play around with my adjustments, okay? So there's multiple ways to play around with adjustments. So first, while we're in transform, we need to either press the check mark up here or press enter. So I'm just gonna press enter. And to do the adjustments, you can do things multiple ways. So you could either just click in the adjustments over in your tab over here to the right, like that. One thing you have to be careful of though is you have to actually attach it. You have to actually clipping mask it to the layer, okay? So clipping mask, you can hold option in between and that'll clipping mask it, or, so I'm gonna undo all of that, or you can just skip all that and just go to layer, new adjustment layer, and I'm gonna go to curves, and it brings up this window right here. As long as I check this little box off right here, use previous layer, create clipping mask, it will do that for me, okay? So now I don't have to hold option in between. It may be easier for you to do either way, okay? So that's up to you. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my curves. I'm gonna adjust this, and I'm gonna show you actually what I'm doing. So I'm bringing the curve up to really take away some of the extra black in there, or take away some of the extra stuff I don't wanna see. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now in between the curves 1, so in between this clipping mask and layer 0, I'm gonna hit new layer, and it's gonna create another clipping mask layer for me. Boom. So layer 1, I have this new clipping mask layer. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna recolor this, okay? So I'm gonna recolor this. Let's change my foreground color to, say, pink. Okay, I'm gonna recolor this to pink. So I'm just gonna brush over this entire thing, and it's gonna look crappy right now. It's gonna look real crappy right now, but what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change the overlay of this. So what that means is I'm gonna change the blending mode, okay? So if you see this little normal tab right here, each layer has it, right? But on layer 1, this clipping mask, I'm gonna click the normal and I'm gonna change it to something. So I'm gonna scroll through these options and see which one looks best covering my light fantastic, okay? Honestly, none of these are looking that great, except for maybe, okay, so hard light is looking decent. Just making sure. I think linear burn, honestly. So we're gonna go with linear burn. Linear burn looks decent. And what I can do to that is I can go back in and I can edit these curves if I want to. So maybe brighten it up a little bit. But honestly, I think I need to clean up my edges on my main layer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my eraser tool, make sure my layer 0 is selected, and I'm gonna take my eraser, no, not my eraser, my, oh yeah, I will take my eraser. And then I'm gonna adjust it. So the hardness, I don't want at 100%. I don't want like a super hard edge. I'm gonna bring the hardness down a little bit. And again, I can change my brush size, left bracket, right bracket, okay? And I'm gonna just kind of clean some of this up. So clean up some of these edges that I don't really like. I don't like the discoloration here. Okay, I'm just gonna clean this up because I'm not really liking it. Okay, so this is the only one I'm gonna walk you through. You can use the magic wand, adjusting the tolerance. You can use the object selection like I did here. But the main thing I want you to do is I want you to clean this up, either in the select and mask, or you can do what I'm doing here, cleaning it up with the eraser tool with a soft edge. Okay, so I'm cleaning up the edges, making it look a little bit better. Okay, that's looking decent. Still not really liking this in here, so I'm gonna delete a little of that. Okay, so there is my selection. Okay, so I selected it, select and mask, clipping masked, adjustments, and clipping masked a brush layer with an overlay of linear burn. Okay, so rewatch it if you need to go through it again, and I'll let you do the other two on your own. Okay, all right, good luck.